on camera, I suggest you just keep your video camera off, and that should take care of that problem. Also, as we get started, we're going to use this recording as the asynchronous session on Tuesday and Wednesday. So this recorded session will be available to everybody. I will send out an email link this afternoon once the video renders and gives me the link. And so I thank you for joining me this morning. For those of you that I haven't had a chance to meet, hopefully I'll get a chance to meet you on Friday at our convocation. My name is Larry Tomei. I've been at Robert Morris since 2004. So I'm in the School or Department of Education over in the School of Nursing Education and Human Services. I think that's what we are now. And I'm pleased to offer you this presentation on the new Microsoft Office 2019. I think as an introduction, most of you have probably still have the 2016 version on your computers. I'm going to begin by talking a little bit about how you can download the software onto your machine. So if it's okay, I'm going to go ahead and present my screen and start this up. Over in the right-hand bottom corner of your Google Meet window is a chat box that you can see down here. And I will ask you that if you have a question, to go ahead and type that question in there. And then as we take a few breaks as we go through here, I'll look those up and see if there's any issues. And if not, I will wait till the end of the presentation and we'll try to answer those questions for you. Okay. So please feel free to use the chat room for that. So without further ado, I'm going to begin by offering you a look at a PowerPoint presentation that talks about how 2019 differs from the previous versions. Now, some of you with 2016, some of you, I think, from according to the help desk, might also or still have 2013. So I'm going to talk about some of the things that I think are important in Microsoft Word and Microsoft PowerPoint. Of course, the 2019 version has also got an updated version of Excel, and we're going to offer a similar presentation like this on Excel sometime later in the fall semester. So I wanted to get us going on these two. Now, as we get started, it's important to know that 2019 is not significantly different from the previous version that we have. A lot of times, you know, Microsoft Office will come out with these revisions and change a whole lot of different things. Well, their changes for 2019 are much more subtle. But the reason that we need to do this presentation is because the help desk has installed 2019 on all of the lab computers for the start of the fall semester, and because anybody that's picking up a new faculty laptop will have 2019 installed on it. So the CIT is providing this presentation so that so that we get you up to speed on this as easily as possible. Now, I sent out with the invitation, and hopefully you received, what I call an excerpt from a revised edition of a textbook that I use in 2 or 3 of my education classes. Okay. And I just feel like if, you know, it's important that we look not only at the changes that are being made in Office 2019, but also how those changes can impact the way we teach in the classroom. So whether you're teaching in a lab or you're just asking your students to use Word and PowerPoint for papers and presentations, you want to be in a position where you can at least guide them in any kind of challenges they might have with this new software package. Excuse me. Okay, so today we're going to start with a well, this is the intro to 2019. And by the way, just in case you think this is, we only do this every so often, Microsoft has already released a beta version of 2021. So what we like to do at Robert Morris, and I certainly would agree with it, is we let the community kind of clean it up. We're not the first year innovators where we go out and grab this stuff, put it in there and find out there's problems with it. So I'm hoping it'll be at least another 2 or 3 years before we go to 2021. But you know how Microsoft is. At some point, they'll come out and say, we are no longer going to support 2016. Excuse me. They've already said that about 2013. So we have no choice but to update ourselves and to move into the future. So as I said, I use Microsoft Office in teaching teachers how to use technology in the classroom at both the undergrad level and the grad level. And I even use part of the textbook in my doctorate program. So if you like a copy of the book, rather than giving it to a publisher and having them charge several $100s for the darn book, we've got a great situation going with the bookstore. They print it for me. I keep the copyrights, which is why I can give you such large excerpts like I did the last couple of days. And the students can buy it from the bookstore at a greatly reduced price. I think they're only paying like $40 for the book. So that's something else for you faculty to think about. If you create your own materials, go to the bookstore and ask them if they can print it for you and look at the prices. I make a grand total of $1.25, I think it is, on each copy that's sold. So my point is, if you want a copy of the textbook, which has a lot more information in it than just the excerpts, you can go down to the bookstore and buy it. Okay, so we're going to start this morning. And by the way, if you have questions as I go along, I would ask that you just unmute yourself and shout them out if you don't want to put them in the chat room. Okay, because as you can see, I'm not attending to the actual presentation screen. I want to get us in and show us the things that we need to see. So don't feel bashful about interrupting me. My kids and grandkids do it all the time. So not to mention my wife. So, okay, so here we go. I wanted to start with the process in downloading 2019 and just give you 4 or 5 minutes on the steps needed to do that. If you haven't downloaded 2019, you can do so now. As you know, we have a software center at Robert Morris, and that's the actual title of it. It's an app that we have on our computers. If you go down to your start window and start typing Software Center, you'll see it pop up. Okay, so I'm just going to open it up so you can see what it looks like eventually. Okay, go away. Okay, here it is. All right. So now as we get started with this, I highly recommend that you download the 2019 install version by logging into the RMU VPN network, okay? Rather than using your own Wi-Fi or whatever, because you'll see in a minute, it takes a bit of time to do that. And I also suggest you do it during the weekday, during business hours, and you have the help desk number close by. Not that I had any problems with it. It really did load easily. But, if you're like me, you're going to get a lightning strike, or you're going to get a power outage, or you're going to get, something's going to happen. You're going to go, what do I do now? So if you end up doing this on the weekend, you're not going to have access to the help desk very easily. So use the RMU VPN network and keep the help desk number close at hand. So when you go down to the start button down here, I showed you, type in the software center, and this will come up. Now, again, it's just a couple of easy steps. But one thing that will kind of throw you, and it threw me too, which is why I called the help desk when I did it, was it said, Microsoft looks like it's asking you to log in. And the help desk said, don't do it. Okay, just X out of that, and it'll go to the next step, and it'll probably ask you again. See, here it is again. You don't need to log in to Microsoft, so don't worry about that. Just X out of it. And now you're into the software center. And it's just a simple issue now of going down, finding Office 2019, clicking on that, and you'll click on install. Now, I've already installed it on mine, so it's asking me, what's the matter with you? You want it uninstalled or what? So, no. Now, look down here. It said estimated time, 30 minutes. That's pretty close. Okay. I say here, once you click on install, go grab a sandwich, go get a lunch, go have a beer, go whatever you want to do, because it will take 30 to 35 minutes. If you're on the RMU VPN, if you're on your home router, your home internet connection, it might take considerably longer. So that's why I'm suggesting that you do that. Okay. It will take 30, 35 minutes. It asks you no other questions. You don't have to sit there and babysit it. All you have to do is come back when it's done. It will restart your computer. And the only other thing that you have to do is remember, this is critically important, that bringing in or installing Office 2019 will remove any previous versions of Microsoft Office that you have. Not your files, just the applications, the software. All your documents will still be there. All your PowerPoint presentations will still be there. But your old versions of the software itself will be gone. Now, when it does that, it takes, like, for example, I like to have Word right here on my taskbar because I use it every single day. I like to have PowerPoint right here on my taskbar because I use it every single day. But just to let you know that after it's done with the 2019 install, those icons will go away. They've been deleted. They've been updated. They've been overwritten, whatever you want to use for it. So all you need to do is just go down into your start button again and go down and find PowerPoint, go down and find Word, and just drag those back to your taskbar, and then they'll be easy for you to find. Okay. So that's it. It takes, it takes an hour or so to get through this by the time you log in and get everything going and so on. But it's really not that difficult to do. Okay. Any questions on that? Let me just stop for just a second and see if anybody has a question about that. Okay. So again, the Software Center has this software now, and you can download it. Obviously, it doesn't cost us anything, and you're ready to go. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and jump into some of the bigger changes, major changes between 13, 16, and now 19. And if you downloaded the excerpt from my email, the invitation that was sent out, I'm going to be looking at chapters 5 and 9, 6 and 10, and 7 and 11. So you can follow along with that, or you can watch what I'm doing and see whether it's an issue. Maybe write yourself a little note on the side that says, hey, go back and look at this insert thing, because this is something I do and it really did change. Okay.
Dr. Tomei?
Uh-huh.
Yes, Patty had a couple of questions. I don't know if you can see them there in the chat box, but her last question was, how can you tell the version of Microsoft that's currently on your computer? I hated to interrupt, but I thought you might want to address that.
No, it's a good question. And the easiest way to do it is just to click on what I just did here. Just click on File, and it pops up right there. Okay, Patty?
Dr. Tim, you know what? When I go and click to my PowerPoint, I get a welcome to PowerPoint, and they ask me to sign in and as a guest. So I can't access the Office icon.
Are you, when you log into what?
Essentials. Let me just try another way. And see, I'm new, and that's why I'm not sure if I already had it. But when I click Office, I get welcome to Office on the web. And then I either sign in or create a free account.
So you click like right here, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that.
Right.
Click on PowerPoint.
Okay, let me get out of that.
And we'll see what happens.
Okay, now because I've been working in PowerPoint. So, but let's see if I don't have. It just says Office 365.
Okay, that's right. You have Office 365. You don't have Office 2019.
Okay.
Okay. Office 365 was kind of an interim between 16 and 19. And a lot of our students have 365, but we're not using 365 at Robert Morris. We're using 2019. So you need to go and do what I just showed you, which is go back in and download 2019. Then you'll be okay.
So can I ask one more question? How about the very first step when you said go to Software Center?
Uh-huh.
Software Center should be under S when you go to the Start menu.
You go to the Start menu and just start typing software, and it'll come up, should come up Software Center. Now, if you don't have Software Center, you need to call the help desk and have them install it for you.
Okay. I'm sorry to cause all these questions already. Thank you so much.
This is the stuff that'll stop us before we get started.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. And again, the help desk folks, they'll do the remote support. And in 5 minutes, you'll have Software Center there. And that goes for everybody now that's listening or watching. If you don't have Software Center, go get it. Because the Software Center, as you saw, had all sorts of software packages that are part of the RMU suite. You can go get all sorts of things from there. And you can take your laptop down to the help desk and say, install 2019 for me. Or you can do it at home and get it done very fast. So I highly recommend that you get the Software Center. That was a good question, though. Thank you. Okay, so as I was saying, the way I teach the Office package and my education students to use Office for education and for learning is I give them 3 different ways of using Microsoft Office to help themselves. I start with what I call text-based materials, how to use Microsoft Word, but not just how to use it to write a letter or even write a paper, but I teach my students who are going to be teachers. And so they have something in common with you guys. They're going to be teachers. They're going to be instructors. They're going to be in the classroom. And so I start by teaching them how to use Microsoft Word to create something as simple as handouts, worksheets, and study guides. Okay. one-page handouts, you know, a couple-page worksheets, maybe a one-page study guide. Or I teach them how to create a more advanced hyperbook, and that should say hyperbook lesson. So how to create a Word document that you can give your students and they learn an entire learning objective, an entire lesson, maybe week 4 lesson, all by themselves using this very sophisticated use of Word. And so we're going to go through today as we begin on chapters 5, which is the simple study guides and handouts, and chapter 9, which is the more advanced hyperbook, and show you some of the features, commands, and menu options that can help you produce a very sophisticated text-based package. And I'm showing you this because that's where a lot of the changes are between 16 and 19. Then we'll come back to PowerPoint, and I show my students not only how to create a simple classroom presentation, which most of them know how to do. They've been doing PowerPoint ever since they were, you know, in grade school. But I also teach them how to create a way more sophisticated PowerPoint presentation called the interactive lesson. And I'll show you again some of the advanced features and the changes between 16 and 19 that allow you to do an interactive lesson. And then I show them how to create a web page. Now, you know, my teachers, my students are going to be teachers. They always use somebody else's web pages. They use somebody else's websites. And I keep telling them, in this course that I teach, in the book that I gave you, I want you to be able to create your own materials, things that don't exist yet. Okay? I call my book Mastering the 5th Level of the Technology Domain. And if you go get the book and you read it, I feel like my contribution to the world here has been to create a taxonomy, okay, very similar to Benjamin Bloom. I don't pretend to be on par with Benjamin Bloom and his people, but in 1956, he created Bloom's taxonomy. And I bet you all are familiar with it, where you start creating learning objectives at the knowledge level. And then you go to the comprehension level, and then the application level, and then analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. And the idea for us as instructors is to help our students move up that taxonomy so that we're not asking them simply to list the 10 commandments, okay? But we want them to comprehend it. What does that mean? Okay, we want them to use it in everyday life. We want them to be able to analyze each of the 10 commandments and then apply them to the real world. Okay, so what I created was a taxonomy for technology, how to use technology in the classroom. And I'm not going to go through that with you now, but basically the 5th level of the technology domain is creating your own materials. Okay, I can always use great Annenberg media. I can use great websites. Discovery Channel's got stuff. History Channel's got neat things. NASA's got great sites. But what about how I teach? I want to teach what I want to teach. Okay, and to do that, I need to create my own text-based materials, my own visual-based materials, and my own websites. Okay, so a simple web page can easily be done using Microsoft Word, and the more complicated, more involved, more complex lesson, and that also should say lesson, is the virtual tour. And I'll go over some of these very quickly. My goal is to get us done in about 30 minutes. I don't want to take more than about an hour of your time. So here we go. I'm going to start by opening up a Word document that kind of demonstrates the simple use of text-based materials. and we're going to go through the menu bar, and we're going to look specifically across the top at File, and we're going to look at we're going to look at the Insert right here, and we're going to look at Review. Those are the three major changes that came out of 2019. Okay, so I've got to assume that you've used Word and you're comfortable with most of everything that's on here. I only want to show you the changes to Microsoft Word. And let me begin by just showing you this neat little handout that one of my students made. It's called the dinosaur handout. And it's something that she wanted to create for her class because it doesn't exist. Okay, she found 6 or 7 of the coolest dinosaurs. So she's probably doing this for like maybe a 3rd or 4th or 5th grade class. Okay, and it's, you know, it's fairly simple to use. But to do this, you've got to understand a few changes that have popped up from Microsoft Word. Okay, and so I'm going to start with the Insert button. Okay, and again, I'm going to send out the PowerPoint presentation here that I've been using to you, so you don't have to copy any of this down. You can follow along in Chapter 5. That's where all this is in. And I'm, you know, I don't know how well some of you know me, but I'm a behavioral teacher, okay? Which means I am going to give you exactly the process to follow when doing something, okay? I don't say, well, go read Chapter 5 and come back tomorrow and we'll talk. I'm a very behavioral kind of teacher, so you're going to see that here. Back in the old version of Microsoft Office, to insert a picture like this one, okay? To insert a picture, these commands were in different places. So now to insert a picture, okay? And by the way, a picture is defined as something on your computer, okay? It used to say insert pictures from your computer. Doesn't say that anymore. It just says insert pictures, okay? So when you click on pictures, you now have access to your computer, okay? So anything that you've downloaded, anything that you have captured or saved from the internet, if you put it in your pictures folder, you put it anywhere you want, as long as you remember where it is. It's now insert pictures, and that will give you access to any picture on your computer. So there we go. I wanted to make sure you didn't go looking for this in other places, okay? So that's the insert pictures from your computer. Another change they made is to insert pictures online or insert online pictures. Why doesn't that come up? Try something here. Okay, well, for some reason, I mean, it was coming up earlier, but I can show you what it looks like. I was smart enough to capture it in case we had these kind of issues. Now, when you insert an online picture, what you're going to get is a Bing search engine. So let me make this large so you can see it. This is what should come up when I click on online pictures. For some reason, it's not coming up right now, and I'm not going to waste time trying to figure out why. Okay, and it's simply a search engine, like any search engine. So you don't have to use Bing. But what's kind of neat is Bing has what used to be, if you remember, was a PowerPoint gallery. There used to be a whole lot of pictures already in PowerPoint. The gallery is gone. PowerPoint got tired of trying to keep up with that. So Bing took over. And if you look, there's all sorts of categories from A to Z, from airplanes and animals and apples down to zeppelins and zoos. Okay. And so by entering a small piece of text here, let's say, and I can't do it here because it's a picture, but Abraham Lincoln, it will come up and show you from the internet all sorts of pictures about Abraham Lincoln. Okay, so that is the insert online pictures. And again, it replaces the gallery in 2019. So that's a very different, and I don't understand why I'm not working, but let's keep on going. The last thing I want to show you, which is also a change, we were able to, with 2016, insert a shape. Well, you can still insert a shape, but it's in a different place. It's just right there so you can easily get to it. I think last time it was hidden somewhere over on the side over here. Okay. So that is how to insert things onto your Word document so that you can turn a Word document into something that's a little bit more attractive. I mean, she's got all sorts of pictures of dinosaurs in here. And now she probably didn't find something like this in Bing. She probably had to go out to the internet to get it. Okay, but you probably know how to do that. Okay, another thing that's changed a bit is a hyperlink. And so let me show you what I have my students do as they get more advanced. This is the hyperbook that I mentioned to you. Okay, and we use links, we use colors, we use tables. Here's an example of a link, and the links have also changed just a little bit with a little bit more capabilities to it. Okay, so now if you want to insert a link like this one here, okay, you do that by going to insert, and then now notice that all of the links are right here now. It used to be you'd have to click on link and another menu would pop up and it got difficult. So here's the link. Now, how you put a link in there hasn't changed a whole lot, but they've done some things that make it easier and perhaps faster. Okay, if you want to link to an existing web page, you just copy the web page and put it in. If you want to link to another document in your on your computer, you just click on the document. That used to take at least 2 steps. If you want to add your email address in there, all you have to do is click on email address and add your email address. And now if you click on that, it goes to your email, which is great toward the end of, let's see if our student had this in here. Yeah, I usually require them to put their email address in there so students can email them. Okay, so that's the link and the hyperlink. You can now bookmark, and this takes a little practice, and I'm not going to show it to you because it's not new. It's just in a different place than it used to be. Okay, so for those of you that use bookmarks, which, for example, you could put up to the top here something like a list of objectives. It's like a table of contents almost. Okay, so you could put objective 1, objective 2, and so on. And then what you can do is you can highlight objective 1 and turn that into a bookmark. Okay, so that later on you can put the anchor right here. Okay, so you put an anchor here and says, I want to call this objective 1. Add it. We go back up to the top. We make, now what we do is we use this one. Okay, and so now when you click on objective 1, it'll go to learning objective 1 down here. So it's kind of a neat little trick. The other thing that 2019 has done that's different than 16 is they've added the comment button right here. Now, for those of us that are working with dissertations and you want to provide comments to your students, we've always had this feature, but it was under review. Okay, right there. It's still there, but it was kind of nice that they brought it up here because some people said, hey, I want comments where I get to it quicker. I don't want to have to keep going from insert to review and back and forth. Okay. Insert table is exactly the same place it's always been. Okay. Another insert new feature that would be useful for us is you can insert now a cover page or a blank page. Inserting a page break has always kind of been there, but this is kind of nice. Okay, so you can go up to the front and say, okay, I want to insert a cover page, and it gives you some templates for inserting a cover page. So it puts it right in front with some nice things, so you can put an abstract there. So it works real well. Okay. It also makes it too easy for our students. And so I put something in my lesson plans this semester, since it's the first time I'm using this, that says cover pages do not count in the length of an assignment. If I say something's supposed to be 3 pages long, the cover page doesn't count. Okay. So you might want to consider doing that. The other thing, a lot of times we like to put an entire blank page between something. Okay, so let's say before these additional activities. And I mean, yeah, it's not too hard to do it. We could, hit enter keys and put this on a new page. We could start that on a new page. But now with just one click, you can put a blank page right before it. So that's kind of cool, and it's new. So I thought I'd show you. Okay, look at this feature. I'll be real honest with you. I don't know if this appears in 2016 or not. Excuse me. But I know it's in 2019, and it's kind of really cool. It's called the Read Aloud button. So you go to, and now I'm under the Review tab for these. Okay, but watch, this is Read Aloud.
The Dinosaur Handouts. Dinosaurs of North America. Student name, underscore 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 underscore.
Okay, we got the idea. But I just think that is so cool. Like you can put your cursor.
Tyrannosaurus rex was a fierce predator that walked on 2 powerful legs in Cretaceous period for.
And I don't remember seeing that before, but I did catch it in 2019. So I wanted to make sure I showed it to you because it's really kind of neat. The other thing that I found, and I'm pretty sure it was in 2019, but I never really found it and used it, under spelling and grammar. Okay. You probably all know how to use spelling and grammar. But did you know that if or when you're done looking at all of the spelling and made changes that you might want, that this thing called readability statistics pops up? I really didn't know that. I mean, I'd heard about it, but it's embedded under spelling and grammar, and you got to go through the whole spelling and grammar check before this shows up. But what I really like about this, not only does it have sentences per paragraph and so on, but it has this readability feature down here. And the one that is most important, at least for my students, is the Flesch-Kincaid grade level. Okay, so this particular document is written on almost a 9th grade level. Now, how they come up with that number, you could go, read more about Flesch and Kincaid and how they come up with that. But if this is a 5th grade Word document, if I meant this for 5th grade class, 9th grade is kind of high. Also, the reading ease is a good indicator. It starts at 0, which is kind of like, I guess, see Dick run, up to, and I think it goes as high as, I don't think it goes to 100. I think it goes to like 70 or 80, but you could check that out. And so a reading level of 59.6 is pretty high, even for middle school, maybe even a high school. That's up to you. You get to decide that. But I know I had a student recently who was doing a dissertation, is doing his dissertation, and he gave me a chapter 1, and I looked at it, and I tried to read it, and I said, I don't understand a word this guy's saying. I'm sorry, but it's in an area that I don't want to call myself an expert, but I'm well versed in. But his sentence structure was terrible. It was so hard to read. And so I ran this readability statistics, and he was up to like 17 and 18 in the grade level. And I said, I realize that you're writing as a doctoral student, but people got to be able to read this. And so I came on to him and I said, you take this down to an 11th or 12th grade level. And he thought, well, I'm a doctoral student. They ought to be able to read this. And I said, let me tell you something. I can't read it. Okay. And I'm your chair. So you got 2 choices. You can either try to get it past me, and you're not gonna, or you can do what I'm telling you. And he did. And it's so much better. So the readability score was in there. And I thought, darn, that's a really good one. Okay. All right. And then finally on the Word side for now is the file and the save as. Now, when we went from 16 to 19, okay? No, excuse me. When we went from 13 to 16, okay? The file types changed, okay? When you do a file save as and you click on save as type, it had the 97 to 2003 document. So you could actually save that so that somebody who had 2003 Office could still read it, okay? But in 2016, it moved it up to what's called a different kind of document, okay? It turned it into, and if you look at it, it turned it into a docx. You guys remember that? And now our versions are docx when you click on Word document. If you click on the 2003 version, it's still a doc. And so I thought, well, you know what? When they changed this to 2019, I bet they changed that again. but they didn't. Okay. And so I brought this up so that you realize that saving a Word document, a 2019 Word document, doesn't look like it's going to change the ability to be read by 2016. Okay. That happens a lot with these things. The 16 version, I can read it in 19, but if I do it in 19, I can't read it in 16. And it doesn't look like they did that this time. So I just kind of wanted that to be, I wanted you to know that, okay? So it looks like the file save is not going to be an issue. Okay, that's Microsoft Word and the major changes. Any questions? Let's see here. Fawn, Microsoft 19 is free from RMU. Okay. I'm on a Mac. Copyright says 2019. Robert, that's right. That should be the Office 2019 version. Okay, so answer those few questions. Now, I've got some students in my class that have Macs, and I've got some that have PCs. And so you've got to be somewhat attentive to that. I even had one this time. She's going to start with me in the fall. She sent me an email. She says, I got Chromebook. And I said, you got to call the help desk because I'm not sure there's a Microsoft Office version on the Chromebook. I don't know. Does anybody know that for sure? Okay, well, we'll check it out. And the problem with students using Chromebook and even Macs is sometimes on the Mac computers, they have Pages, Apple Pages, and that doesn't convert into a Word document. So the more that we can be consistent with what we ask our students to buy and to use in the classroom, the easier it will be for us. Okay, let me continue on. I'm going to close this, and I want to open a PowerPoint presentation that we can talk about quickly. But in PowerPoint, the changes are even fewer. Okay, not much has changed between the 16 and 19 version of PowerPoint. But there are some changes with the insert again and with the view. So let's look at those. We'll begin with file. One of the nice things that 19 now has on it is the templates and themes. Okay. And so let me just bring up a new PowerPoint real quick. When you open up PowerPoint, we've always had the ability to search for some of these templates. Okay. Now, when you have them, you're going to be able to choose some education templates. I've been, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, I've been harping at Microsoft for years, saying, hey, I know this was meant to be a business application when it first came out. That's why they called it Microsoft Office and not Microsoft Classroom. And most of their packages were set up for business. They had business, charts, diagrams, but now they have added education, and this is nice. Okay. I'm not going to go through this, but I'm telling you, when you open up PowerPoint, look for the themes and templates and maybe consider clicking on education. there are 199 education presentations already there. Okay. Back to school presentations, you know, how to teach language and art and history. There's all sorts of things that are already there. And you really ought to think about starting off your presentation with one of those. It makes it, I always tell my students, it's much easier to find a presentation that you kind of like. I mean, you like how it looks, you like how it's designed, you like the colors, and edit that one, you know, take out Civil War and put in accounting 1010, or take out engineering principles and put in psychology 101. It's much easier to edit an existing presentation than to start from scratch. Okay, to start from with just a blank presentation. So think about those. Okay, so here's a PowerPoint presentation now that I got. It's got, you know, they got a cool background in it. And this is what I call an interactive lesson. And I'll show you some of the principles of that in just a second. Okay, so insert. I guess the biggest thing I can tell you about the insert is it looks like what Microsoft Word used to be. Okay, for some reason they changed the excuse me, they changed the menu of the insert in Word, but they didn't change it much in PowerPoint. Now you figure that one out. Notice the online pictures are now back where the old Word versions were. Nothing drastic, but it's just a different menu than we used to have. A new feature that I kind of like is a screenshot. Okay, so you can take that screenshot and you can keep it. Okay, you can keep it now, which we didn't have before. Okay, so I kind of like the screenshot. That's a new feature. Shapes is back where it used to be. Okay. I think this is new for the 2019 version. They have what they call 3D models. Now, I apologize for this. I'm not sure why my stuff isn't coming up. It was earlier this morning, but maybe it's because I'm inside Google Meet. But I guarantee you, if you write this one down, 3D models, it puts in a model that you can rotate. It's pretty cool. It actually works pretty neat. Okay. Here's the comment again, back with the insert as well as the review. It should still be in the review. Yep, there it is. Word art is very popular, but it's back where the word art used to be under Microsoft Word. So, you know, they've done some new things and they're doing some old things. One thing, though, that I did want to show you, which is pretty cool, under audio, okay, under the audio button, you now have, where's it at? Yes, okay. You can now do video, audio, and screen recording. Okay. In my class, I teach my students how to use a package called Screencast-O-Matic. Some of you may have been into one of my sessions on that. Screencast-O-Matic. And basically all it is a screen capture software. If you can see it on the screen, if you can hear it in your microphone, it will make a recording of it for you. Well, PowerPoint said we're going to put Screencast-O-Matic out of business, and they put this screen recording in it. And now when you use it, all you have to do is just start on record, and it will capture everything that's on the screen, convert it into a movie, And that is how you can record your lectures, especially lectures that use PowerPoint. Okay. So I believe that's a new feature. Okay. Any questions on that? Still doesn't work. Okay. New slides. That's been around for a while, so there's nothing new there. Okay. I can tell you that under transitions, Microsoft Office 2019 has many more transitions than 16. Well, a few more. First of all, I always thought there was way too many. Okay. I mean, you know how these things work. And frankly, I don't know why you do too many of them, but that's fine. The only one that I really use in my PowerPoints is random. A random that you apply to all slides. As you go through your presentation, every slide will come up with a different transition. Okay. You can do that if you want to. Again, there's a few more than there used to be. All you have to do is click on them and you can kind of see what they're going to look like. I think that is a new one right there, glitter. I don't remember glitter before, but I may be wrong. Okay. So that's the transitions. In addition, animation options. There's more animation options than there used to be. Okay. There's the grow and turn. There's the zoom. There's the wheel. I mean, you got to have nothing to do to be playing with this for very long. Okay. But there's a few more, and there's a few more effects down here that you can go through. Okay. Compression, center revolve, spinner. Okay. I remember catching one of my students one time. They were actually making bets on what the next transition would come up when the slide changed. Some in the back, and they had quarters on the table. I said, "What are you guys doing?" And he said, "Well, we're betting on which one of these things comes up next." And I go, "Well, okay, what's that tell me?" I've used too many of these things. Okay, so that's the transitions. And that's the animations. Both of those are kind of fun to do. And use them sparingly. I think one of the last things I'm going to show you under view, nothing's really changed in the view. But under the slide master, there used to be some very confusing options here. Okay. I always have my students, and if you look at my presentation here, you can see that I've created a master slide. You can see the picture of the solar system behind it in gray. That's now on every slide. That becomes my background. Okay, except on a few where I wrote over the top of it. If you want to create a master slide, you do it by going to view and then slide master, and this comes up. And again, there used to be 5 or 6, and it got very confusing. Thank goodness they brought them down to like 4, and here they are. Here is the slide master for, let's say you wanted to put, well, get back today. Let's say you wanted to put Robert Morris University at the top of every one of your slides. Okay. That's a slide. You do that in the slide master. That way, now when you come out of the slide master, you don't have to, you shouldn't have to put that on every single slide. Okay. Come on, where's the close? There we go. Okay. And there's a couple of others in there too that you can look at. If you want them all one color, this is the easiest way to do that. You can just change that color to orange, you know, and you can have a background of orange colors. This one here is a little bit different. It has the date, a common footer, so you could put RMU down there, and then something else. So you could put your name down here. And so that's very similar to the first one, but this one has some footer information that'll go on every slide. And then there's the last one, just has a banner up at the top. Okay. So very simple to do, very easy, but quite useful. Okay, now there is one change to 2019 that is really cool. At least I didn't see it in 16. Under the file and the save as, we talked about this with Word, you have all of these presentation possibilities. It doesn't appear as though there's a new one. So my guess is anything you prepare in 19, you can still read in 16. But look at this one. This is a different, I didn't see this one before. It may have been there, but I never saw it. But you can make a video out of your presentation. It's creating an MP4 right now. And it's just taking all of the slides and it's converting them into a movie. That is pretty cool, especially if you have narrated your slides. It will capture the audio as well as the video, and now you've got yourself a real movie. You've got yourself a narrated lecture. Okay, and I'm going to stop it because it just takes a little while, but I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, any questions on PowerPoint for right now? I don't see any there. Okay, we're going to finish up with a quick look, almost kind of back to Microsoft Word, because as I think you guys probably know, hopefully you do, Microsoft Word can help you make a web page. A very simple or a very complex web page. You don't need to be a computer puke to create web pages anymore. I mean, I've been creating web pages since 1994. And back in the day, you used to have to use something called HTML, which was a programming language all by itself. You don't need to do that anymore. You can create a nice web page like this one, okay? Or you can create a very sophisticated web page like this virtual tour that I have my students do, okay? Simply by using Microsoft Word. Okay, and so if you look at the second web page again, come on. Okay, you already know how to create links, so we won't spend much time. We won't spend any time, but it's again the insert and then the links, like we did when we looked at Microsoft Word. So links on a web page like this, very important. Maybe more important for my students who are going to be K-8 teachers. Some of them are going to be high school students. But think of the problems with telling a student to go to a web page and giving them the link. Well, we got a problem with, can they type it in? We got a problem with, is that a safe site to go to? We got a problem with, will they be able to get there and come back? Well, if you can create your own web page like this, okay? So she's created a whole bunch of links on how to learn more information about whales. And so all the student has to do is click on it, okay? And she's going to go to her own website, okay? Here's a National Geographic website coming up. So instead of telling your students, go to this website, https://www.nationalgeographic.com/animals/mammals/facts/ you just create your own web page and you put the link in there. Okay. Now, the web page can either be stored as a Word document, okay, which this one happens to be, or it can be saved as an HTML file. There's the Word document, but you can also save it as a web page. Now watch what happens when we save it as a web page. Okay. It is an actual HTML file. Okay. It's not a Word document. It's an HTML document. This virtual tour, HTML document, which means you can put this on your own server. Okay. You can put it on your own server. And as faculty, we have servers. Okay. So I just wanted to mention that to you. That's not a new feature, but it's one that, excuse me, sometimes we forget that we can make web pages very, very easily. Okay. That's what I wanted to cover. That shows you how to get into Office 19, how to download it, shows you how to create. Now, how come all of a sudden I can't see any of my pictures? Hang on a second. Probably had to do with what I was doing with the master. Here we go. Okay. So we went over how to download 19, some of the key changes and new features, some of the PowerPoint changes and features. And we also looked a little bit at not only creating text materials, but also web materials. We are capturing this presentation. Okay. We're capturing this presentation as a recording so that anybody who is unable to make it today will have Tuesday and Wednesday to watch the video. Okay. And then I scheduled one last session for us Thursday at 6 o'clock, in which I intend to, I gave you a new Google site. Here it is. Okay. It's in the email. Okay. We're going to hold our own question and answer session. You should have the invite. Okay. And I'm just going to ask questions or answer questions if I can. Okay. Bob's had is presenter mode available in the classrooms now? Presenter mode. You mean, Robert, unmute your mic and explain what you're asking here.
Yeah, when I'm presenting in a classroom and I'm trying to open with the presenter mode, so you know the presenter mode is showing you the next slide, all of the notes and stuff, but it's not showing on the screen. It's not available in the classroom. I can do it on my home computer. I have external monitor, but not in a classroom. Okay, I will get the answer to that and answer you back. So you don't want the students to see your notes. I know what you're talking about. And I had no reason to believe that it wasn't, but I will find out for you and get back to you, okay? Okay, thank you. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to stop presenting now. It looks like we had 8 people that
showed up for this, at least some, if not all of it. And so I'd like to stop this. Well, I did stop it. Oh, no, I didn't. Stop recording. Stop recording. There we go. Okay.